Benfica Podcast is one of the founding members of Benfica Independent. Benfica Independent is an independent platform made by fans for fans, and in it, you can find our podcast along with many other podcasts, along with articles of opinion, video segments, and much, much more. We're also on patreon.com/Benfica Independent with exclusive contents for our patrons.
Hasta que no estás aquí dentro no sabes la grandeza de este equipo. Sí, es un club que tiene una grandeza que no se comprende si no estás aquí dentro.
São de uma magia única, benfiquista, que só nós sentimos assim. Por muitos desgostos que possamos ter, valores mais altos se levantam. E o valor mais alto que se levanta em termos futebolísticos chama-se Benfica.
Quero o Benfica intimidar o adversário. Quero o manto sagrado entrar com vocês em qualquer estado. E esses estados, pá! É isso que eu quero!
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Talking to the Dog Benfica Podcast. My name is Alfredo Fumaças, as always. This week, actually, coming in a day later than usual. Had needed some time to watch yesterday's game and couldn't push it off, or couldn't publish this or stream. But here we are, episode number 457. We'll meet tonight, Tiago, also known as Saucy. What's going on, brother?
What's going on, Alfredo?
It's been a while.
Yeah, as
yeah. So Dave is having some internet issues up in Canada. What else is new? And and some power outages also. So he's gonna sit this one out. Maybe we'll keep him warming up just in case whenever he's ready. But here we are, episode 457, and on tonight's podcast we will recap the Vizella game, the Maccabi game. We'll look ahead to Famalicao, and we'll also do a market recap, since the last time we were on the air was before the first, and we certainly had some fireworks here at the end of the market, and we'll get into it. So let's get right into this Vizella game. I'll give you the lineup and we'll get started. Vlaco Dimos was in goal, Gilberto, Antonio Silva, Otamendi, and Grimaldo. Tino and Enzo in the middle, Neres, Rafa, and João Mário behind Gonçalo Ramos. Of course, as we know, Muratu is out with an injury, and Antonio Silva had to come in despite Benfica having signed the American John Brooks. Is it John Brooks? It is John Brooks, right? They call him they used to call him the Wolf Wall when he was at Wolfsburg. What do you know about him, Tiago? You know anything about John Brooks?
I've seen a couple of clips on YouTube. Obviously, you know, that's usually what we do when we get a signing that we're least familiar with. And he looks like your classic big center back. That's the enforcer back there. And I think, you know, in matches to come, I think we might need that physical statue he has to face some rivals.
Yeah. But look, I'm not unhappy with Antonio Silva. As a matter of fact, I think that he's done pretty well. Even in the preseason, I don't know if that's your feeling too. But in the preseason, Antonio Silva was always somebody that impressed me over Thiago Araújo.
Yeah, no, he's a stud.
18 years old.
Reminds me a lot of Ruben Dias in his younger days. Very calm, collective. Doesn't try to be too flashy. Kind of, you know, plays his game and is just a very good support player, and we've seen it in these past 2 games that he's just feels very, very comfortable. You look at him, there's no way that you would ever guess this kid is 18 years old with the composure he plays with.
Yeah, one of the youngest Benfica players to ever play in the Champions League. 18 years old and 10 months or something like that. It's ridiculous, man. Like you said, the composure for a kid his age, playing at this level. And I think we saw some of it in the preseason, but preseason is preseason. There's not that level of pressure. You're not playing in front of a packed stadium. You're not playing in Champions League. Certainly, he's been a great surprise this early on. And you're right. He still has to eat a lot of sopa to get to Ruben Diaz's level, but certainly he's on his way, man. 18 years old with that composure, and then on top of it, you got Otamendi as a mentor, as somebody that could guide him, and as somebody that could teach him, but rarely see the kid get frazzled, which is great. Into the game. 20 minutes, give up a goal. Vlaco Dimos beaten in the near post, and if it's something that we really don't really crack on Vlaco Dimos is for his work between the pipes, but man, giving that goal in that fashion in a near post when he's like just a step away from saving it, I don't know, that no fica buena figura. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, we could hold Vlaco, or Odi, accountable for that goal, but so many times he's saved us that, I mean, he's due for a mistake every once in a while, albeit it was probably not the best time to commit that mistake. I think that the defense also has to take a large portion of the culpability for that goal, because when Benfica went and signed João Vitor from Corinthians, right?
Yeah.
They got him because he's a speedy center back, and you could see that Otamendi just doesn't have the wheels to keep up with these younger players. And that's one of my biggest concerns for this team is on that counterattack like that. Does Otamendi have the wheels to keep up with players that are a lot younger than him and in a lot better physical shape than he is?
Yeah, I have to agree with you. And I think that the fact that that our fullbacks play so projected into the attack, it always leaves that gap between the fullback and the center back that is a big lane for somebody to run into and fetch a ball, because obviously Otamendi's not going to be much to the side to be able to cover that ground. He's going to be a little bit more central, so it leaves a lot of room in defense for somebody to penetrate that, and even for a long pass for somebody to run onto the ball. So yeah, that's been our thing in terms of the way we play. Even with JJ, where we played with a high back line, we always had those issues with Otamendi and Vertonghen, and now the teams are finding ways to expose us. But yeah, I thought he was late getting to the ball, but that shot has to be Vlaco Dimos', man.
It was. I think it was just a really good play shot, though. If you look back at the replay, it was a very, very nice play shot. Like it still careened off the post before going into the net. I know Vlaco right before he made the stance to try to save the ball. You see, he kind of peeks over his shoulder to see where the post is, and I really think that he thought it was going to hit the side netting, but he snuck it between the hands and the post.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe he wasn't expecting a near post shot, and maybe he was cheating a little bit to the
or something with that hard, because that shot came pretty quick at him.
Yeah, so Benfica with most of the possession in the first half. Vizella playing in a low block, very compact and very funneling the game through the middle, which is where Benfica does pretty well, with Rafa coming in the middle, with Neres coming into the middle. So Vizella had that on lockdown, and then they would just go on these counterattacks. But the thing is that, and I have been seeing this as of late, there's a lack of sharpness in that final third, whether it's the last ball or whether it's a pass that's going to break through a guy or behind the defense. We're lacking some of that sharpness, and I think that there was a lot of times that that's what really did us in, that would interrupt our good play, our good build-up play, and then by the time we got into the final third and make that last pass or the second to last pass to put a guy through, we would always miss that that pass. So into the locker room we went with Benfica down 1-0 or 0-1, whatever you want to call it. And Roger Smith makes a couple changes. He made sure that the fullbacks were very wide. Tried to get Benfica to play the game as wide as possible so you could stretch out that Vizella defense, but also. And I don't know how you feel about this, man, but I'm watching the team play, and all those combinations in front of the box and not shooting, man, that annoys me to no end. But it seems like in the second half, they had orders to shoot.
Yeah, whatever Roger Schmidt does in the halftime locker room, it seems to work because Benfica, the past couple games, second half comes out, looks like a complete different team, and he's very good at making adjustments. I also think that, you know, it's very early in the season, and I don't think he's used to teams like they do in Portugal just parking the bus on him. So I think they have to kind of work that out. The season is still very young, and I'm sure that, you know, it's going to take some getting used to. And some more strategical tactics planned out for teams like this, because you notice these smaller teams, that's what they do. They frustrate Benfica with parking the bus, and we don't really have players like you said earlier, like the final third, the pass. Yesterday after the game, one of the commentators from one of the Portuguese networks said that Rafa is so good, has such good qualities, but his last pass almost never makes it to where he wants it, and that's why he's still on Benfica and not on a high prestigious team, because he lacks that ability to make that final pass in the final third.
Yeah, and we saw an example of that against Maccabi. Yeah, yesterday that he dribbled a couple guys, then megs a guy, is on a breakaway with two of his teammates, and then he just puts the ball behind João Mário.
Yeah.
It's so frustrating. So frustrating.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, but nonetheless, you know, Benfica showed themselves a lot better in the 66-minute ouchness for Tino and Musa for Enzo. João Mário dropped into the midfield. Then in the 75th minute, Ba came in for Gilberto to give a little bit more speed in that wing. And in the 76th minute, we get the equalizer. We're still some time. A little bit of a Ginga, some juke action from David Neres, and off of a Ba assist, and he was able to bury it. And it was a nice goal. It was a nice goal, and I think the stadium needed that, because everybody felt very nervous, and you know, but it was good.
Just They need to do that more often. They got people who could shoot, as we saw in yesterday's game too. We got people who could shoot from outside the box. I just don't understand why sometimes they feel the need that they have to literally almost dribble the ball into the net.
Yeah, 1-2 past the goalie. That's what they want to do. I don't know what's going on. Shoot the ball.
Yep.
These guys have to be able to shoot the ball. And then, you know, we get to the controversy, the missed PK on Gonçalo Ramos, and the subsequent second yellow card and the red card, and on a foul that clearly existed, but the referee decided that it was not a foul, nor did he go to the VAR to check it out. And as karma would have it for us, the shot by Rafa hit somebody in the back and hit the arm of a Vizella player in the 90-plus time added on. And João Mário converted a 2-1 at the end of the game. João Mário also picking up a second yellow card for his celebration for taking his shirt off. And the first yellow card had been for words, apparently. But look, it's more of what we've seen in terms of refereeing in Portugal, where there seems to be guys that are on a different wavelength, guys that are like to be protagonists, and are not just there to referee the game and to be invisible. And certainly Verdissimo, or Verdissimo, like many people call him, turned out to be a protagonist in this game. Benfica's already appealed to Gonçalo Ramos' suspension, and that's already been denied because he's not Padinha, of course. But, it's one of those things, man. The first one is a clear penalty. The second one, you could see it both ways because it bounces off the back. But the thing is that the player is extending his arm to increase the volume of his body. So if it hits off the back and it hits off an arm that is outstretched by the player, I think you got to call that a penalty. I think if it was called against Benfica, I would have accepted it. But the Gonçalo Ramos it's just too blatant. What do you think?
I was so confused watching it when he didn't call that PK. I was confused. I was like, how can you, number one, not even ask the VAR? Like, that's beyond me. But then, like, you start thinking, is this guy out to screw Benfica this game? And then right after, he gives a penalty for something that is a lot less clear than the first opportunity he had to give a penalty. And it's like, what the heck is going on? Like, is he here to screw us? Is he not? What is going through his mental psyche right now? Because this makes no sense. I mean, like you said, Alfredo, that second one, I've heard a lot of people say, oh, it's not a penalty kick because he has his back. No, you could see when he jumps, he opens his arm. His arm is not up against his body. He's using his arm to extend his body, and the ball touches his arm. It's a penalty kick. If the arm is up against the body and it hits the arm, then you have a clear contention that it's not. But when you put your arm out like he did, and you could see both PKs. The first one you could see is clear as day. The Vizella player throws himself back. That's clear as day. And then the second one, when he turns, he knows the ball's going to come. So you see him open up his arm to outstretch his arm to make himself wider. So that's a clear PK too. I mean, I've seen things in Portuguese soccer called for a lot less than that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I just thought, I don't know, man. It's hard, and it leaves me kind of scratching my head. And Benfica, the totality of the game, 9 fouls, 7 yellows, and 2 reds. I mean, if you're looking at this, how ridiculous is this, man? With 9 fouls, you got 7 yellows and 2 reds out of 9 fouls the whole game. Benfica, as you're looking at the stats that I put up via goal point, dominating in every single category, shots on target, actions in the box, the opposing box, corners, pass efficiency, vertical pass efficiency, you name it. But there it is, 9 fouls against 10 by Vizella, and then we had the cards that we had 72% of possession. And then the Vizella coach has the audacity to come out and said that they were almost in as little words or in as many words that the result was unjust and they should have gotten out of there with points. I don't get it.
It's a very, very typical, Portuguese coach post-game interview. When they lose is because Benfica has the more money and the quality of the squad's not the same and yada yada. When they lose with games like this, we could have came out of here with some points and that you could have, until Romario scored the goal, you were going to come out of there with at least 1 point. But the thing is, when you look down the stat sheet, they don't look deserving of coming out of there with not even a point. So
no, not at all. You look at they had 7 shots. 2 of them were on goal. Of course, 1 was the goal. 4 actions in Benfica's box. 4 corners. 63% pass efficiency. But it's just ridiculous. 28%. I mean, how do you, with 28% of possession, how do you come out of the game and said that the result was unjust, that you deserved more? I just don't understand. And I think that you're right. It's part of the Portuguese culture and a lot of these coaches. And you kind of saw the same thing at with Sergio Conceição today in the presser against Atletico Madrid, where he felt that the game shouldn't have been called or should have been called prior to the corner kick being taken. And then he said, "Oh, we got B players in the bench, and we brought these guys and these young players and blah blah blah, and the money. It's always the be a graceful loser. Don't bring up all these arguments that you have no right, because at the end of the day, when you go watch the game, you're probably going to feel like an asshole because you spoke out of your ass with not having any type of awareness of what went on in a game."
Yeah, must be something that the coaches up north drink.
Yeah, but this guy, I mean, he's given Benfica problems that we've seen him before, and look, it's always difficult to come up against him, because he's a guy that plays ultra defensively, and you got to give credit to the guy because he sets up the teams pretty well, but at the end of the day, if you have 28% of possession and you had 4 actions in Benfica's area, that's not a stat indicative that you should have come out with points. Really isn't.
Yeah,
it really isn't.
Alfredo, the 4 actions in the box, you could say, 4 actions in the box, but then you look over at Benfica, 49.
Yeah,
I mean, that's when you kind of start thinking like, hey, what is this guy? What did this guy drink?
Yeah. No, I agree. And Diogo Reis is saying that Vizella felt small, and when he says small, meaning the bigger teams always get the benefit of the doubt or the benefit from the referees. So the smaller teams always get screwed. But when you put that type of product on the field, and regardless of whether it was a good defensive display or not, what wins games is scoring goals. And when you don't have that many actions that are going to create opportunities, going to get you those goals, you can't say that the result is unjust. I'm sorry, you just can't.
I don't buy that small club thing. You could ask our brethrens up north what happened with the recently promoted Rio Ave.
Yeah,
small club, 3-0 at halftime. Sometimes you just gotta want it bad enough to do it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Turning our attention now to match day 1 of the Champions League. Benfica hosted Maccabi Haifa from Israel. Benfica won the game 2-0. And I'll give you the lineup real quick. We had Vlaco Dimos in goal. Ba, Tony Silva, Otamendi and Grimaldo, Tino and Enzo, Neres, João Mário and Rafa, behind Gonçalo Ramos. Ba coming in for Gilberto, and maybe Thiago, it speaks a lot about having the ability to come back and maybe play or defend better than Gilberto, because Ba has that stamina and has that engine to go back and forth. So I don't know if that was the reasoning behind the move and behind the choice of Ba instead of Gilberto against Maccabi. But certainly, it's something, and we've talked here all the time that those two guys are interchangeable, and we haven't had this type of quality at we're talking about Gilberto, but Gilberto has come a long way. But we haven't had this type of quality at right back for quite some time, and now we have two guys that, if one comes in and the other one stays out, or vice versa, we're not complaining about it. So I'm pretty happy with Ba. And then Tony Silva, of course, another excellent game from him. And I thought that I think that I was on a Maccabi Haifa podcast from Israel, just talking about Benfica, and one of the things that they asked me about is what are our expectations for the group, and I told them the whole thing with the group and being a team, especially of their caliber in Pot 4, and not that they haven't had a good pre-qualifier campaign, but the thing is that going in as a team in pot 4, almost none of the pressure is on you. Every single ounce of pressure is on the team from pot 1, the team from pot 2, and the team from pot 3. So when Maccabi steps into Stadio Luz and has that beginning stage of a little pressing Benfica and coming to Benfica, that's just because you're just not careless, but at the same time, you don't have anything to lose. That's probably part of the speech of their coach. You have nothing to lose. But, and I think at the same time, Benfica realizes that, look, despite this team being in pot 4, we're playing the Champions League. And I think that you can't underestimate any team in the Champions League. Every team has had their merits to get to the Champions League and have done it with quality team or quality players. So I think that in terms, I think it was a good lesson for Benfica to learn that you can't underestimate teams. You just got to go at them. And I think that Benfica was a little surprised in the first half. And I thought that the team didn't play its best football in the first half. But after going again into the locker room, Thiago, Musa comes in for Ramos, right? And if it was something, Ramos hasn't been playing all that well in the past few games. And the thing that Musa brought, and I think that this was the reasoning, is the fact that he could hold the ball and he can combine with the wingers or the fullbacks or the guys from the midfield, which is something that Gonçalo Ramos doesn't do as well. He's got quickness, he could press, Musa can't press, but it's just one of those things that, again, the move at the half made things happen. I don't know. Then we had 2 goals inside the first 15 minutes of the second half, and after that, it was basically almost game over. What'd you think, man? What'd you think of this, the first half and then the second half with the moves?
Well, first half, we go back to that same Benfica that's just kind of, going along with the rhythm of the game, just kind of trying to feel it out. And I think Maccabi actually played really, really well. They pressed Benfica. They played man to man. They didn't give Benfica the spaces they needed to formulate their game plan. And again, it's whatever Roger Schmidt is saying at halftime. These guys are buying into it, and Benfica comes out and right away it's that 1-2 pass touch and they just keep the ball moving, and that seems to work very well for Benfica. Musa is actually a lot better player, like you said, when it comes to playing that type of 1-2 touch ball. Gonçalo Ramos to me is if you really think about it, he's not really a true number 9. He's kind of like what Rodrigo was back in the day to Jonas, that support player for the number 9. But they proved again, that 1-2 touch ball that Roger Schmidt has said time and time again that's what he wants them to do. And when they do it, they look good. They look like they can't be beat.
Yeah, no, Reigning Entertainment is saying that he also thinks that Gilberto and Neres have a slight better connection. It's possible, both being Brazilian and both kind of understanding and interpreting the game in that Brazilian mindset. I can see how there's chemistry there. I think the biggest thing when Ba is on the field is the fact that Neres is too close to the line and he doesn't open up space for Ba to get into the behind the defense out from a wide position, because he's almost always occupying the same spaces. If you guys, I don't know if you guys noticed that. But yeah, Timo's saying that Musa is way better to back to the goal. Yeah, I agree. The way he receives passes with a single touch and turn effortlessly. Yeah, it's a guy that plays in that position that's his natural habitat, if you will, and is a guy that's comfortable, feeling that, holding guys off, with that wide stance, and then making those little passes. But I also agree with you. I'm not totally convinced by Musa. I think that Rodrigo Pinho who scored 2 goals for the B team this past weekend, is a guy that does that pretty well. Also, at least from when he was playing, when he played the game before he got injured, he played pretty well, and there was a couple times that I said, "Whoa, that's nice." That he does that, but maybe Roger Smith is also prepping him in a B, giving him rhythm to see if he could play. Because right now, I think that you look at our forwards, Ramos, Araújo, Musa, and Pinho, and I don't think any of those guys are at a level that we would expect a Benfica center forward. What do you think, Thiago?
Yeah, no. I mean, if we want to go back and look at forwards from past seasons, Jonas and Cardozo, the two, the two of the latter ones, these guys don't compare, anywhere near close to what those guys offered and what those guys brought to the table. Although Musa is more of a Cardozo-esque type player. Cardozo was also very good with his back to the net and offered that one touch ball too. But it's just, I think it's just the style of play that Roger Smith has implemented on this team, that Gonçalo Ramos fits in that role because he wants the team to be mobile. Hence why Yaremchuk didn't work out with this style, because he wasn't very mobile. He was a very stationary number 9. And I don't think that falls into this style of play. I think that's why Ramos has gotten the most playing time out of all the forwards, because he fits exactly Schmidt's play style.
Yeah. No, and it was something that I said about Yaremchuk and understanding, the high press. I always said, I'm not sure that Yaremchuk fits this game model, pressing, because he's like you said, he's a guy that has a very small action area in terms of, if you look at his typical heat map, he's in the heart of the box, very central, doesn't get wide too much, and I thought he was always going to struggle. I think that Gonçalo Ramos has I think he's earned the spot because of his work rate. He's a kid that works his ass off on the field, but in terms of finishing, he leaves a lot to be desired, and some touches also. My hope is that Henrique Araújo will develop into the player that we expect him. But yeah, I'm curious about Musa. I'm curious about Pinho. See if Roger Smith can integrate those guys and have them somehow contribute. But the thing is, and somebody was saying, and Diogo Reis was saying, I think, and he's talking about Musa, I think as he bangs in a few, he's going to grow in confidence and into a beast. And for forwards, the repetition and getting those chances and putting away goals is what's going to build up their confidence and their mental ability, because forwards live for goals. They don't live for assists. They live for goals. So if they're not scoring, that's another notch that you're going down in your confidence, perhaps. And I think that that Gonçalo Ramos is not going through a very good patch right now, and we had bigger hopes. But now with him being out against Famalicao, we're gonna have to see. We're gonna have to see Musa. We'll see. We'll see what happens. So an important win for Benfica against Maccabi, and I'll throw up some stats here. And the only very different game, obviously, from the Vizella game. 14 shots for Benfica, 5 of them on target. 20 actions in the opponent's box. 2 corners against 4 from Maccabi, which is one of the 3 stats that they beat us in. 85% pass efficiency, 70% of vertical pass efficiency, 12 defensive actions in the opponent's midfield. And Maccabi had 15, 13 fouls for Benfica's 12 fouls for Maccabi, and 56% of possession for Benfica, and 44% for Maccabi. But Thiago, what did you think of this Maccabi team? You think it's a team that could compete and give maybe Juventus and PSG a little bit hard competition?
Yeah, I think a lot of people are underestimating them, but like you said earlier, every team that's in this competition, it's because they belong in this competition. They weren't just awarded a place here. They earned their place here. So every team comes here, they want to, this is Champions League. This is the creme de la creme, so to speak, and they're here to compete. Even if they get their butt kicked, they're gonna fight. And they fought yesterday against Benfica, and at the end of the day, it's I've always alluded to one thing that Benfica has done for many years. It doesn't matter which coach is. Something they lacked in the past couple of seasons is Benfica always has that jogo, os 15 minutos a Benfica. You know what I mean? Yeah. They have those 15 minutes of game where they kill the game, and it's something that was lacking, and now I'm starting to see it again. And yesterday was just another point to prove, 15 minutes they kill the game, and it's just good to see Benfica back on the W column. And as of right now, we're in first place, so hopefully we can hold on to that.
Yeah, we're in first place because of our goal differential. PSG beat Juventus 2-1. They were up early, but then Juventus came back, and I think it was tight down the stretch. I think that PSG had to defend pretty well, not to concede that equalizer from Juventus. But look, I think it's very important to start the campaign with a win, and the fact that we got Maccabi Haifa as the first game, I thought that it was good just to get that early jitters off. Some of these guys have never played Champions League, and I know that lining up and hearing the Champions League anthem could be something that is a little bit nerve-wracking and can elevate your levels of anxiety as well as your levels of adrenaline. But certainly it was good. Out of the way. And I think that, Thiago, and you could tell me if this is how you feel also, but I think that the most important for Benfica in this campaign is to be able to get close to maximum points at home as you possibly can. Because that's going to be 9 points right there. And if you get all those 9 points at home, you're in good shape. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's the Stadio da Luz is always going to be a place where Benfica is going to have to try to, put on their best performances and try to take as many points as they can. I can tell you right now, Juventus yesterday played very well against PSG. They didn't lay down after going down 2-0. So I don't expect them to give us anything in Turin next week. And Benfica ultimately is going to fight Juventus for that second place, and it's gonna, because now we're gonna have to play Juventus, and then we play the home and away game with PSG, which is two back-to-back very, very challenging games. So we're gonna have to try to get as many points from the games that we can make our points to try to hold on to that second place.
No, I agree with you, and I think that the only wild card is that if PSG and both PSG and Juventus get to Haifa, and they underestimate Maccabi, and Maccabi maybe pulls out a tie against them. And I think that's the one thing that could throw a monkey wrench into this group, is that, because other than that, I think that we see PSG cruise through the group stages because of there's just a level of talent and the weapons that they have. But I think that I've seen them slip up in Ligue 1, overestimating guys and teams that play them in a certain style. So I mean, you never know. But I'm positive about this campaign. I don't know if you have the same mindset, and I think that we're all in agreement that this is not the best Juventus of the past 5 years. So maybe that's where the opening comes.
Yeah, I mean, Alfredo, I kind of want to play already the Juventus and the PSGs of the world, because everybody is very happy, and I'm very happy about, starting the season with 10 wins and no losses, but we haven't had anybody that we've gone up against that has really given us like a PSG or Juventus or even a Porto. And I really want to see what this squad could do up against a team like that, because against Vizella it looked like they struggled a little bit. The previous game, what was the previous game before Vizella too, which was very Bosch was another one that was kind of like, oh my God, like I understand it's the team is very new together and the coaching is very new, but this team sometimes leaves me very, very nervous with certain aspects of the game. And I just wonder, if these small teams can't capitalize on those mistakes, how will these big teams punish us if we make those same mistakes against them? And that's kind of like where I'm at now. Like, I want to see, okay, what do we match up against the Juventus? Where do we match up against a PSG? Where does this, like, where is this team really? Because we haven't really played any team of substance yet. Yeah. So
I get that. I think it's twofold, right? Because I think that despite playing PSG and Juventus, which on paper are much superior to Benfica, I think that Roger Smith is going to stay true to his game idea and his game model. But the thing is that when we expose ourselves against Vizella, maybe we have a scare once or twice through the game. If you play dead high and you don't have the speed in the back to pick up guys and to get guys, it's going to get ugly. Think about Mbappe and Neymar, with the speed that they have getting behind defense, with a ball from the midfield. That's not going to be good. So I don't know, but I could see us being somewhat true to our ideas, but I don't know how it's going to work in terms of how bad we're going to expose ourselves in the back. And I think that's the one thing that scares me the most, because as I mentioned, you go against these Tugão teams, and most of the time they're going to defend with 10 guys behind the ball. And then you play against a team like Juventus, or even Maccabi wasn't playing with the whole team behind the ball. They were defending well, and they were springing counterattacks. But I think that when you come up against a Juventus, man, you're going to be in trouble. So I'm curious to see how Roger Smith sets up the team and how the team approaches games. I think I would love to see Benfica high press Juventus, high press PSG, but we all know that the quality of players that they have are guys that are going to find a pass to escape that high press. So, but it'll be interesting. But as Timo says, can't write ourselves off before we even play them. Juventus and PSG. You can't. Because, go ahead.
Do you think that, I don't know if yesterday during the game against Maccabi, he went and took, I forgot who he took off and put Arsnes in, and was playing with Arsnes, type of like a pivot midfielder with Dino and...
Yeah, he took out Neres. He added Arsnes to the midfield to close up some of those spaces that were on the midfield, and to allow Enzo and Tino to press a little higher.
Do you think that was a plan already, kind of to play against these bigger teams like PSG, who had crazy midfield players and attack a lot through the center of the field?
Yeah, no, it's possible that we'll see some kind of a triangle formate, whether it's an inverted one or whether it's a upright one. I think there's one way to do it, to play with three guys in the midfield that press, that cover, that kind of provide the balance, that cover for guys that go up, that cover for movements in the back of the defense. I don't know. It's very possible. It's very possible. The thing is that we really, up until, as you mentioned, this time when we were playing with three guys in the middle with Auschwitz this past game, it hasn't been a system that we have seen drilled and tried. So I don't really know if that's something that we're ready to introduce to start a game, to be honest with you. But I don't think anything surprises me with Roger Smith, especially because of the reads that he makes. He's watching these games, and it's almost in Chris. You've heard Chris, and you've heard me saying here that he doesn't understand how him on his couch watching TV, he could tell exactly what's wrong and what changes needed to be made, and a coach with an assistant coach that has an earpiece to a guy that's all the way up in the rafters that has a different view of the game is not making those moves. And when you look at Roger Smith and everything that he's done so far, and hopefully he'll continue to do it, he's made every right change, and the changes that he's made have had impact on the game.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And I think that we kind of have to trust the whole process and trust that Roger Smith is going to approach this Juventus game and this PSG game with a clear idea of what he's going to find in these teams and where we could be exploited and also could exploit these teams. So we'll see. But it's always good to start with 3 points.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And rock and roll. And 10 consecutive wins, official wins, not counting the preseason wins.
First time since 82-83, I believe, that Benfica starts off 10-0. So, long time. Many years.
I think that 14 is the record by Eriksson.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
14, either 14 or 16. Yep. Turning our attention now, and we haven't been here since the market closed, but Thiago, from 1 to 5, how do you rate this transfer window for Benfica?
I would probably have to say a 3.
Really?
I mean, I was happy with a lot of moves that they made. I think that we were still missing a couple of pieces. Draxler came and kind of, on that loan, it was kind of like un tapa-buracos type of acquisition.
Really? You think he's a tapa-buracos?
Yeah, because it's like you need a 10, but he's not. From what I've heard is he's not going to play the 10 position, so it's like, where are you going to put him on the wings? So it's kind of like it's. I don't know if that was probably the best move they could make, but I mean, nonetheless, he's a world-class player. He's here for a year, so we got to get as much use out of him as possible. I still think we should have gotten another keeper, at least. Yeah. And we need a number 9. We don't have a tried and true number 9, I don't think, right now.
Yeah, I think we need a guy that's going to be at a level that's above any of the 4 guys that we have there. And I think that was one thing that we're clamoring for. But we're also looking for a guy that could play in between lines, a creative guy. And I think that Benfica filled that role with Draxler. There's a lot of question marks in terms of what he's going to be able to contribute to this team. He's on loan from PSG, and this was something that I mentioned, that now that we've made the Champions League, now Benfica is going to be more appealing to any French players at these big clubs that may not want to come to Portugal because Benfica is not playing the Champions League. But I think we kind of opened it up, and had it not been for that guy that was at that small airport in the suburbs of Lisbon, taking a picture of Draxler, nobody would have never known that Draxler was in Portugal and signing for Benfica.
Yeah, very quiet move.
It was nice, man. I liked it. I like it. Silent, and nobody knowing what's going on. But like I said, there's question marks about Draxler, about his health. He was available for yesterday. And I think Roger Schmidt said that maybe he'd give him some minutes yesterday, but he did it. But he's a guy that we need, and hopefully he can make an immediate impact. But looking at this win, I mean, you give it a 3. I don't know, man. I understand the guys that we needed that we didn't go get. I agree with you. Another keeper above Vlachodimos would have been great. But I think so much was hinged on that Vlachodimos sell, because we all know that Vlaco Dimos is not a good bench keeper because of the problems that he's created in the past. But yeah, even another left back, unless we're content with Ristich. But yeah, a guy in between lines and a forward, that's what my priorities would have been. The keeper, yeah, I would have liked it, but if we have to go 2 out of 3, it's those 2 guys. So we brought in Fredrik Aursnes, Peter Musa, Ristich, Ba, Neres, João Vitor, Enzo, Draxler, and John Brooks. And John Brooks, a last-minute acquisition by Benfica because Muratu got hurt, Verdissium is hurt, João Vitor is hurt, and Vertonghen went to Belgium. So we had to pick up John Brooks because, we're only going to have 2 center backs for the next 3-4 weeks, maybe more. So we needed to go grab John Brooks, and which is fine, and especially for us that are here on this side of the pond in America. It's always good to see an American play for Benfica, even though he's not that top-notch American that we would love. But I don't know. I think he could be helpful, and maybe he'll become more than just a number. But from the things I've seen, and like you said, Thiago, before, physical guy, physical presence, tough, as a guy that's the enforcer, But look, we needed that extra center back because if Otamendi gets hurt or if Otamendi picks up a red card, you got nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody. But the thing that impressed me the most about Benfica's summer window is how many players they were able to take care of.
That's exactly that's probably what made me the happiest about the transfer window was getting rid of some of these players that were just eating up salary space, and there was a couple of them with bigger salaries that left, which is good, and some that should have left that haven't left yet that should be on their way out soon, I hope. And just starting new, giving this coach a real opportunity to succeed. And I like Roger Schmidt. As soon as he came in, he didn't play the game of, maybe this guy will stay or maybe no. Listen, this guy is no good. I don't want him. Get rid of him. And that's what we needed. We needed somebody. Let me tell you, because I don't think me and you have spoken about this. I was when they announced Roger Schmidt as the next coach, I got excited. It's somebody that
I did too.
Isn't in this mix of Portuguese coaches that are not good for our league or even our country in Portugal. It's like some of these coaches, what I call them, the rotating coaches, they're here one season and they're on the next team next season. And I think Benfica just needed a fresh start, a different style of play. And they brought in Roger Schmidt, and he's implemented this new, more modernized way of playing the game. And, he came in and these players that we had, majority of them didn't fit into this. So
yeah,
I'm just glad they got rid of a lot of these players that didn't belong on this team to begin with.
Yeah, no, and look, I like Roger Schmidt. I've always liked his style. I was impressed by when we played PSV last season in the qualifiers. I was impressed. He's had an interesting career so far, and there was a lot of people saying that Roger Schmidt, he doesn't know the league, he doesn't know the ins and outs. And maybe sometimes it's better that you don't know, because then you're kind of approaching the game with a more pure attitude and mindset, not something that's conditioned by the referee suck, or if you go play at the Dragão, all these extra game stuffs happen, or if you go play up north in this stadium, these extracurricular things are going on. So maybe it's a blessing in disguise, the fact that he's not familiar with the Portuguese league, and he still has guys surrounding him, in both Luizão and Javi Garcia, that know what the Portuguese league is about, that know the hazards, that know the bad habits as you go into stadiums. And I think that the biggest thing is, the way he's approached it. And really, let me just say something. The Portuguese media are and I don't want to offend anyone, so I'm not going to say the word
horrible.
Beyond
to be nice.
That, beyond
to be
that.
nice.
And these people have gone to school, obviously, have gotten degrees in communication and most likely journalism, right? And they can't ask a guy a decent question. Every question has to be with some ulterior motive or intent or of trying to get words out of the guy. And he's just like he's not having any of it.
No.
He's not having any of it. And I think that there was I think in Benfica's press officer stopped one of the journalists, and I think it was I know
what you're talking about.
In a pregame press conference, he stopped one of the journalists because the question was extremely irrelevant.
Yeah, but
I forget what the question was now.
Was it about Horta? About if the director failed or some along those lines? It was just such a stupid question.
It was a
that
stupid
has nothing
question.
to do with the game.
It was. I think it was very unrelated to the game. It was just one of those things that you're fishing for a comment that you're gonna put on the first page. Why?
Yeah, but he's very seasoned. You could tell when he answers these people that he knows already. And I'm sure that the director of communications of Benfica.
I know what it was. He asked about João Vitor. He asked about
if being hurt.
If João Vitor had been examined by Benfica doctors before we signed him. Are these what kind of silly world did these people live in? You spent millions of dollars on a guy, and you're not gonna go through all the tests and all the rigorous exams to make sure that you're not buying a lemon, or you're not buying a guy that has a lot of injury history. Come on, man, are you serious?
Yeah,
these guys make they make people look way smarter than them, and for guys that went to school and have degrees, they should be ashamed of themselves. But hey, maybe that's what the editor wants. Maybe those are the missions that are given him.
Yeah, he's and then this goes back to the good thing that Benfica signed a coach that's not familiar with the league and is not in the circle, because you could already hear I could almost hear JJ answer that in it's stupid question gets a stupid answer. Yeah. And Roger Schmidt is just above that, so he's just gonna ignore it.
Diogo Reis is saying, someone tell Thiago we got Enzo, who alone in any year makes our window a 5. I don't, not a 5, but maybe a 4 for sure. Yeah, that was what a buy, man.
I mean, we got a lot of good players. I personally don't give it a 5 because I don't think we completed the roster. I still think that we
did a lot. We did.
Coming from last season, comparing the players that we got last year when we signed Everton for 20 million, and then we got Pedrinho and all these players who none of them are here anymore. So this is definitely a better transfer window, but I still think there's room to improve.
Can't be perfect, man.
Absolutely.
We went from extremely shitty to this one, and we heard Rui Costa today saying that if you've been keeping up with the team, that every decision that's been made and every acquisition that's been made has been with the intent of helping Benfica in a sporting way and not in a financial way. And I don't disagree. Turning our attention now to Famalicao, which is up next this Saturday. And this is an early one, so set your alarms. And for those of you who like to sleep late, 10:30 if you're here in the U.S. 3:30 Portugal time. Famalicao is currently 1 win, 3 losses and 1 tie. They're down towards the bottom of the table. At home, 1 win and 1 tie, so they haven't lost yet at home. But yeah, 3:30 local, 10:30 here in the East Coast, 7:30 for Mr. Mello because he's out west, and anyone that's out west. But certainly, look, it's just another game. It's just another game up north with another team that's going to be behind the ball after Champions League. I think that there's this run of games for Benfica is going to take a toll on players' legs, especially because you got that core of 10 players that's been playing every single game almost.
Yeah.
You know? And you got Juventus on Wednesday.
Yeah, I think this is a good game to give some of those players that haven't got much burn.
Well, Gonçalo Ramos is definitely going to sit. João Mário is going to sit. Who else? I think that Gilberto might get a start, and maybe Ba gets a start, and Gilberto gets a start on Wednesday, depending how Roger Schmidt looks like it.
Yeah, I think Draxler probably gets a start too here, no? For João Mário?
I think, or is it Auschwitz? Or is now a dress rehearsal for what we'll see against Juventus in terms of a 3-man midfield? I'm curious.
Who knows? This is the good thing about Roger Schmidt is just, he could do so many things now with the players he has on the bench. And that's one thing that I think Benfica really enforced pretty well this year is like Roger Schmidt said, he has a lot of good players in different positions, which allows him to, rotate the squad more, which we haven't seen yet. But hopefully here soon he's going to have to start figuring out a secondary lineup to give these guys some breaks.
The thing that scares me the most is that 2 guys coming off the bench are freaking Chiquinho and Gonçalves. That's I don't know, man.
Gonçalves not as much. Chiquinho just kind of always looks lost. I have no confidence in him. Even
they're both players. They're not Benfica caliber players. I could see him at Famalicao. I could see him at other teams, and I think that Chiquinho has done really well when he was at Moreirense and other teams. But and Gonçalves was at Famalicao, but I just don't see him being.
You don't think he's good off the bench?
No.
I don't know. No. I mean,
é muito trapalhão. É trapalhão.
He's I mean, he's not as bad as Chiquinho though. Chiquinho to me is probably a little worse.
I don't think Chiquinho adds much, and I think Gonçalves, aside from some of his speed, I don't think he has much. We haven't seen Gil Diaz, of course, and for obvious reasons.
Oh my God! Thank God.
But yeah, I think in the winter window, maybe we need to get somewhere in terms of having guys that could come on besides Gonçalves and Chiquinho. I hope.
Yeah. See, Diogo Reis is saying Draxler still needs time. He was the one thing about Draxler. He's very injury prone, so it's kind of. What Draxler do we get? The one that can stay healthy and actually help us, or is he going to be the one that's going to be in the Boletim Médico, every week? So it's kind of
that's valid. That's a valid point, man. And I think that there's a lot of Benfiquistas that are hesitant. The name obviously is synonymous with quality. We all know who Draxler is as a player, and at his prime, he's a guy that's world class. Right, but the fact that he hasn't played in such a long time and he's had nagging injuries, how does he arrive at Benfica? And I'm sure that Benfica went through the medicals to make sure that he's okay. After all, I think that Benfica is paying like 2 million loan fee for him, and I think PSG is paying most of his salary, if I'm not mistaken, if not all. And Diogo Reis, Paulo Bernardo too, and Paulo Bernardo has been such a disappointment, and I think that maybe he needs a refresh like Ferro.
Yeah, he needs to be loaned out, and hopefully comes back like Tino.
Yeah, but Tino is everybody knows that he's been the the biggest surprise for me so far this season.
I mean, he was good under Lage when Benfica went on that stretch. He was one of the core midfield players.
You didn't have that vertical passing game, and I guess you could say were those Lage's orders. You get the ball, you just pass it to the right for the guy to build. Now he has that freedom to build, and you see him driving a lot of vertical balls that he wouldn't normally do. So he kind of either added that to his repertoire, or he always had it, but he was never encouraged or never had the confidence to do it, because it takes confidence to drive those balls on the ground into tight spaces. You have to be extremely accurate because you got to drive it with power. But I was watching the game last night and seeing Chiquinho and Gonçalves coming off the bench. Holy
you know, when I saw those two come off the bench, it sends shivers up my spine. Like those guys, like I said, Diogo Gonçalves not as much, but Chiquinho, he has no right even wearing that jersey. You know, I just, that was one of the players that they should have gotten rid of, and I'm surprised that he's still there, because he offers nothing in the sense of quality, or I guess he's just one of those guys who's there to fill up a roster spot.
Yeah, he's a good teammate.
Yeah.
No, Reigning Entertainment is saying that he thinks that Draxler's recent injuries were muscle injuries. You could probably go on Transfer Market right now and look to see if what type of injuries are, because they listed on there. I think that when Benfica Independent did their recap of the transfer window, they went through there, and if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if they were all muscle injuries, but I think he might have been injured, and then he had a setback where he re-aggravated the injury, something like that. But look, I think that if he's good, he could be.
Oh, he'd definitely be a big help.
Great, man. He could be great. But definitely. The thing. Yeah, here's the other thing. I was talking to somebody about it, and at the time it was before the close of the market, and Draxler was already a done deal, and then they were talking about Keylor Navas to substitute Vlaco Dimos, and I think that deal may have been on top of the table if Vlaco Dimos was to leave to Ajax, but. Imagine those guys, the motivation they would have to play against PSG.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Vlaco did I think he did awesome last year in the Champions League. I think a couple of games we owe to him, Yeah. So I think, does he inspire the confidence that a Keylor Navas does? Probably not, but no. If it's not a ball that's crossed into the box, I feel pretty confident with Vlaco Dimos. Now, if that's one of those balls crossed into the box, that's kind of like where I get a little nervous, because he's a little apprehensive to come out and grab it, which I've seen him lately look a little bit more confident coming out and grabbing some of those balls, but then he gives you nothing as far as the run of play,
And even his game, the game with his feet too. Man.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The run of play, he doesn't offer you much. So it's kind of
those big floating balls into the sideline, onto the bench area. Those are always extremely aggravating.
We miss. The most recent one we had was Ederson. Ederson was just.
And you know what? I remember arguing with somebody on Twitter, because when I first saw Ederson, I don't think he had at feet game.
Yeah.
And I argued with somebody. He said no, he was always telling me, yeah, he does. You're gonna see, and eventually, I would be proven wrong, obviously. But yeah, I think that when you play with a high line, you got to play with a sweeper keeper, and you got to play with the keeper that could use his feet, that defenders could play off of. And I think there was a couple times that Antonio Silva had the ball, and he was expecting Vlaco Dimos to come and offer a target, and he did it.
Yeah.
But that's just Vlaco Dimos. But anyway,
what I can tell you, Alfredo, to conclude this is we gotta give Roger Schmidt some time to establish to put his full 100% imprint on this team, because this team still has a couple of past coaching imprints and some of his imprints. I think once he finally gets 100% of the squad that he wants, I think this is going to be a pretty badass team.
Yeah, and look, I know it's early, but I expected Benfica to do well, but maybe not to this level. But we have had some shaky games in terms of our inability to break down teams that set up really deep and play with two banks of four, and sometimes four and a bank of five in the back. So I think that if there's anything that we need to progress in and evolve in, is we need to find the ability to break these teams down, whether it's shots, setting up guys for shots from long distance, or stretching them out and serving balls into the box to actual targets, not just like over the whole defense and over our attacking players into the other side of the field. But I think that I'm not completely surprised by Roger Schmidt, but I there's a level of expectations that he's exceeded for me. So, and that's it, man. That's all we got. Freddy's, thank you very much for helping us out and being here and keeping us company. Thank you very much. I know we're a day late, but we'll be back to our normally scheduled program. Thiago, you still doing the social media thing?
Not as much anymore, but I still every once in a while get on there and just try to see what's going on. Usually the Twitter, I tend to follow it more during the transfer market. M10, Jorge das Transferências, and just keep Fabrizio and just keep up with the transfer windows. now that the transfer window is done, probably my time on Twitter will diminish a little bit, but nonetheless, every once in a while I like to go on there and see what's the good word.
Yeah, Diogo Reis is asking, are we happier with Draxler or would you guys prefer Horta? No, I'm definitely happy with Draxler. Even though I understand and I recognize the role and how Horta would fit in this team, and I think that he would be a good addition. But the whole story and how it dragged out, and the whole soap opera behind this whole Horta thing, the money that they wanted, then Malaga getting involved, I don't know. It was just one of those things that really left a sour taste in my mouth, and I kind of feel bad for the player because you say goodbye to the fans, right? And then he's still there.
Yeah.
He's still there. And he's going to be good for them. He's going to be good for them, and especially now that rumor is done with, he could now concentrate on playing for them. I think that Braga is a nice little decent team this season that will give problems to anyone. But yeah, no, I much prefer Draxler. Now ask me 3 months from now, and maybe Draxler hasn't played a game because he's hurt, and then maybe that's a different story. But I'm hoping that Draxler will be healthy and ready to play soon here. So we'll see. You want to give Peter? You want to give people your Twitter handle if they want to follow you, or are you not worth a follow?
I mean, well, a lot of people weren't happy with my 3.0. I mean, I hold Benfica to a very high standard. So,
you and a lot of other people.
But yeah, Twitter. All my social media handles are the same. Saucy, SAUC, 2 E's, 2 Y's, 3 underscores.
Wow.
All platforms.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Also, a lot of people don't know this, but you're a game streamer, right? You stream on Twitch?
Yes. Yes. Part-time, I stream on Twitch, a little FIFA, a little trucking simulation games, and hopefully now with the new FIFA coming out, I'll be on FIFA a lot more.
Yeah. Timo says that he would have preferred Horta, more durable, cheaper, and would have been ours, not a loan. I could see that. That's a great point.
Yeah, but we could also get rid of Draxler next year, and maybe someone better comes along for a cheaper price. So
yeah, but Timo, could we have gotten somebody better than Horta for 15, 17?
And
Which
that
is
price
what Braga
range.
was asking us?
And younger,
I think
too.
we could.
And younger.
Well, I don't think he's at a bad age, but certainly if you're going to invest in a guy that you're going to offer him a contract of 4 to 5 years, and he's 28 now, I think.
Yeah,
Cortez?
28. Yeah, 28, 29.
You know, I from what I know of Horta and his style, he would fit like a glove in this system.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing that was a turnoff for a lot of people was the price that we were being asked, and Salvador being a dick. I bet you that if Luis Felipe Vieira was there, Salvador would have done this deal. I bet you. But you know, it's just one of those things. Look, maybe Draxler will be who Draxler is, and he will surprise us all, and he'll be really good, and you know, who knows. But anyway, peeps. That's all I got. Tiago, thanks for coming on, man, and helping out.
Anytime, brother.
Hopefully next week Dave will be here. Dave was supposed to be here, but as I mentioned, his internet and then some power outages where he up in Canada were preventing him from joining us tonight. And Cristiano will be back soon. Take care, everyone. Later.